So back to the Bucks here with Giannis. So the big news, Shams reported that Giannis, for the first time ever, has indicated he's open to seeing what other teams have to offer, maybe playing for their team. And so I want to get to the nuts and bolts of this, that we had heard reports that the Bucks are going to make Giannis ask for a trade. Giannis has said, or his camp has intimated through reports, that he doesn't want to ask for a trade. And so for me, the first part of this is Giannis, at least his first step of asking for a trade. Because this is a soft sell. This is hey, I'm open. And
also kind of tests the waters, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no direct, like Shams didn't say this is even from Giannis's camp.
Right.
He said from his sources. Mm-hmm. So this kind of like, it's like dipping your toe in the pool before you jump in. He's finding out what is the reaction going to be like a little bit if I just up and say it, or if it clearly comes from this camp that, hey, I am willing to move on to the right situation.
Now, I know that teams don't tamper, but is this a way to instigate some tampering?
Absolutely.
Let the other teams know, like, hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm open-minded about this. Do you want to have discussions?
Well, I think
my relationship with the Bucks just went from interrelationship to it's complicated. Like, what's going on, Houston?
Well, it could be poly, but I mean, like, if you went to the situation,
no, Giannis can't play for the Bucks and the Houston Rockets or the San Antonio.
I don't know, man.
He's a Greek freak. You don't know.
So with the scenario, this could have come. This could have come from the Bucks. This could have come from the Bucks, where they said, like, maybe they're letting people know. I think Evan Cohen had something on this on Unsportsmanlike, where basically now the Bucks, I'm sure, are always getting calls. So I think Giannis is either telling the Bucks directly or through the media that, like, hey, when those calls come in, take them serious. Like, I want to know who's interested, and I want to know where I could go play. And this is the important part, is that I do honestly believe that Giannis loves the city of Milwaukee, loves Bucks fans, and is appreciative of the organization and wants to do right by the organization. So I think in a perfect world, there is a way where both sides figure out how to trade Giannis, where the Bucks can maximize their return, and Giannis can go where he wants to go. That's I don't want to say best case scenario. Best case scenario, he stays. But like I would say the most realistic best case scenario for me is that the Bucks are able to work with Giannis behind the scenes, get a trade pulled off where it is the biggest haul, because it really should be, just in the sort of like when a quarterback signs the next deal, they get the biggest deal in the NFL. This should be the biggest haul any player gets. Now, it won't be draft picks, because the Bucks need players. We don't have to get into that, but basically they don't own their own pick till when, Matt?
2031.
2031.
It's only 6 years.
So they need
that right there is why the Bucks would be negligent to not trade him away.
Yeah.
If you try and run 2 more years with Giannis, let him get to his player's option, and then he decides he's going to be a free agent and gets to talk to everybody, and you get nothing in return, and then you still have to wait 3 more years to have control of your own draft pick, like, that's 5 years of purgatory for the 2 more years you have with Giannis of being the 6th seed and getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Like, that is not worth it to me. I love Giannis, but it makes more sense. It makes sense for the Bucks and for Giannis for him to move on.
And it's possible for 2 things to be true at the same time, right? Like, Giannis can love the city of Milwaukee. He can love everything about Wisconsin. He can love that he had his family here, everything. But he can also want to win another championship.
And that's the case. That's what I think is, like, literally going through his head. Is like, yes, I really love it here. I would, given the choice, all things equal, including my teammates, he would stay in Milwaukee, I think. But he doesn't have the teammates to achieve his work goals, his career goals. Mm-hmm. And if he can't hit his career goals, like, I don't know about Giannis, but I know I would want to do everything I can to, like, get another championship. Like, that's why I'm still curling. It's because I'm looking for another championship. And if there was a better opportunity than Team Schuster, I certainly would be telling Shams that my camp says I'm interested in the idea of moving other places.
Well, and the reverse is not even Team Schuster. It would be like you were on, like, a team that would barely qualify to make nationals.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Team Schuster came calling, you'd be like, yeah, I'm interested. You know, like
100%.
Like, so it's not like, again, if it was a Team Schuster situation where the Bucks are in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's like, okay, like, they're 1A, 1B, but that's not what's going on right now.
Right.
The Bucks are a team that are a 6th seed and probably were, I would have just off the top of my head, 5 games away from being in a play-in game.
Especially the older you get and the more seasons that you play in, like, I'm not saying Giannis isn't having fun, but it's not as fun as it used to be. Part of the reason he's still doing it, and probably the entire reason, is to win more championships. So he doesn't want to just go out and have a good regular season and then be meh in the postseason. Like, sure, early in the career, making the postseason, that's an achievement. It's fun. It's new experience. He's done it now. He's got the T-shirt. All he wants to do is win championships. Like, as you get older in sport, though, I don't want to say the love of the game, but, like, the things that drive you change. It starts with the love of the game, and then once you get a taste of victory, like, and you start getting older and realize, like, you have to work that much harder to stay on top, like, your goal is to win championships. And he's not going to do that with the Bucks, unfortunately.
And so here's the other side of it as well, is that Giannis right now is playing nice, I guess, if you will. But do we know that's going to... So Prime chimes in 7. I wasn't that far off, just guessing off the top of my head. There were 7 games out of the play-in. So it just felt close. At one minute, I was like, oh, God. Like, there's a play-in in place. But if Giannis tries this, and this is him soft-selling wanting to get out, if the Bucks don't do anything or dig in, it could get ugly. And I thought of this, and I want to get to Evan Cohen in a minute here, but I thought of this when Stephen A. Smith was on First Take, and he was lamenting that the Knicks don't have a shot for Giannis, even though he thinks that Giannis would love to play for the Knicks, because he pointed out that after the season ended, Giannis went to New York, and that's, a lot of people go to Turks and Caicos or somewhere super warm. He could have gone back home. I mean, his wife was pregnant, so I'm guessing that's why they didn't go anywhere too far. But he went to New York, and he was just saying that, hey, Giannis seems to love the city of New York. Okay. And he said, but we traded, I think, 5 first-round picks or something like that for Miles Bridges. So we don't have Mikal, sorry. We don't have anything to give up for Giannis. Well, then Wendy kind of chimed in. He's like, you're right. And I don't think Giannis is going to do this, but if Giannis says, I want to play for the Knicks, it's going to happen. And I think that's the step where I think both sides want to avoid. We don't want to be in a situation where, let's say, the Bucks play hardball and they continue to try to force. Like, if Giannis
picks a team, because then you're stuck to that team, right?
If Giannis is forced to say, I want to be traded, I think at that point he might say, I want to be traded, I want to be traded to Team X. Even if it's saying, I want to go to Houston, which is one of the teams that has, like, the most amount of assets to give up for him. But that's not, like, that takes away the leverage where you might have been able to get Amen Thompson out of Houston, and then all of a sudden you can't. You want to have multiple suitors. Like, Houston can give up multiple. I have this here from Bobby Marks on ESPN. So Houston, let's say they get Giannis, which means they probably pick up the team option on Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams and maybe a couple other role players. But then they could trade players like Sengun, who has a player option in 2029, is paid $33.5 million. $33.9 million next season. The player option in 2029. So he's around for a while. So you have him for a little bit. You could trade Jalen Green, $33 million, a player option in 2027, not quite around as much. But then you probably, if I'm the Bucks, I want Jabari Smith Jr., who's around and is restricted free agent in 2026 at $12 million. I want Amen Thompson. I want the younger guys. I want the rookie skill contract guys. So you could go Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, and then take on Sengun at basically $34 million a year. And then give me some picks. And that's a team that, honestly, probably is the 6th seed in the East.
A couple people chiming in on the YouTube stream. Brandon Bob says, best case scenario is Cooper Flagg, ? And
yeah, that would be best case, but I don't see that happening.
Meanwhile, Chewy says, Bucks just need to wait on the draft lottery. The goal is Cooper Flagg. Your best hope, or your hope is San Antonio gets the top pick.
If Houston gets the top pick, too, which is possible, that could be another one here. So San Antonio's another one. San Antonio, if you're a fan of Giannis, would be amazing.
Is that the only pick you would take?
No.
For Giannis?
If it's a top 4 in this year's draft, I probably would. I mean, you're going to get other draft picks regardless.
I was going to say, what are the other picks?
Like, you're going to... Like
how many first-round draft picks are you going to get?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if Houston came at you, was like, hey, we've got Thompson and 5 picks in the next 3 years.
And I believe the Houston Rockets also hold some of the Suns draft
Right,
picks.
so
Yes,
you would
they
take
do.
20. I think it's a couple, maybe 2027 first rounder for the Suns.
Yeah,
Like,
which could be a very high
right,
pick.
that's one the Bucks have to have in this. If I'm trading with Houston,
No
let's
shade
just-
to the Suns. I'm just saying.
No, it's okay.
Let's assume the Rockets don't end up with Cooper Flag. If I'm going to the Rockets, I need that 2027 Suns pick. I want the Rockets pick this year, and I want some young players because the Bucks have to win. Now, in a perfect world, Cooper Flag would be great, but it does complicate things because you're going to get less back beyond Giannis if it's Cooper
Right.
Flag, and you need to win. Again, this is where they've kind of handcuffed
I mean,
themselves.
you don't need to win if you move down from Giannis. You can continue to rebuild.
But you don't have any draft picks. So what are you rebuilding?
Well,
with?
you're going to get more than just Cooper Flag for Giannis.
But you're going to get less than before. Like if it's
For
Cooper
sure,
Flag,
yeah.
it's like Cooper Flag and maybe one other player. Because Cooper Flag is viewed as a not quite Wembanyama type prospect, but like there.
He's not quite in that round. He's like the easy number 1 overall pick, but Wemby was like seen as like this guy's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Just this
maybe
morning
the
they
greatest
say
of all
that like
time.
he's just a tick below it.
I think there's a bit of a misconception in that area.
I'm just going off of what ESPN said today. It's closer than initially. Like it's close. He's
So
not a traditional number 1.
Is this like how we've described the NFL draft this year? That like if it was any other year, he might be later in the draft.
no.
pick? No?
No.
It might be similar to kind of the Travis Hunter thing where like he's an easy first overall pick, but you would look at him and say, is he going to be able to be the best player in the world at any given point? Cooper Flag? No, but he might be like, at his best, he could be Jason Tatum where he's always the 6th or 7th best. But that's the peak.
If we get a Jason Tatum,
I mean, I'm not saying
oh my
that's bad.
God, I'd
I'm
be
not
happy.
saying that's a bad thing.
I could say that's still on the table from the regular top 5 player.
It's on the table.
Yes, and that's not every year. Like there are other years.
The only reason I push back is because Wemby could be like the greatest player of all time
Right.
if all things turn out right.
Right. But like a tick below that would be a perennial all-star. Like I think Cooper Flag is viewed as a guy who could be if you played for your team for 15 years, or over his course of your career, make 10 all-star games and maybe be an MVP mix, depending on his ceiling is definitely an MVP. Anyways, with San Antonio, the way Victor plays is actually, even though they're the same size, works perfect with Giannis because Victor is not offensively necessarily an inside guy. Giannis is.
Yep.
And Victor will probably develop into an inside guy, but he's young. So if you could get and again, if San Antonio, Ladd and Cooper Flag, that's probably more likely they're willing to trade him along with someone else. Like I would take Cooper Flag and Steven Castle, and you got a pretty good team. Like
okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. There's
Stephon Castle. I don't know
2
if it's-
players.
But Castle was Rookie of the Year.
It is Stephon Castle.
Stephon, okay.
He was in the dunk contest too.
I will say, if the Bucks get Cooper Flag and Stephon Castle, that might be the coolest name team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Castle and Flag.
Come on, that's not
Captain
a,
the Flag.
I mean, at least I could say it.
Yeah, thank God.
It'd be nice to have a superstar with a name I could say.
those
then
sound like Marvel movie characters.
because the problem is like the team that could really set the Bucks up for future success, but they've burned down the house, is Brooklyn or the Jazz. Those 2 teams combined have 22 first-round picks available.
I couldn't even tell you any players that are on either of those teams anymore, which like is crazy because just a couple years ago they were 2 of the top teams. At least I feel like that was just a couple years ago. Was it not?
There was speculation with the whole Kyrie, James Harden, and I think there's someone else.
Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant at one point.
Yeah, and
Was it Ben
Oh, yeah,
Simmons
that was
on
a
that other
disaster.
guy?
And Ben
it
Simmons,
was,
right?
but that's when everyone was like excited for it.
D'Angelo Russell was on that team.
Wasn't Donovan Mitchell on the Jazz?
Yep.
He was. That's
Yeah.
where he started his career.
That feels like forever ago now.
They were never really. They had like one.
They were good. They were good.
They're an all-time great regular season team, but they would always flame out in the playoffs.
And also
They have Rudy
it-
Gobert, right?
Yeah, but in the West, that still wasn't like a team that was
No.
really making noise. If they were in the East, you're right. They would have been making a lot more noise.
Yeah.
I think they had what's his name who played for the 76ers, had very dreamy eyes. Kelly Oubre. He played for them at one point.
I don't remember any dreamy eyes. Now I'm going to look it up.
He's got dreamy eyes.
Randall Cobb type.
Randall
right?
Cobb-esque.
Oh,
Yes,
my God.
Very,
Oh, I
very.
know. Yep. Kate Cunningham kind of has that look now, though.
Oh. Should
Right?
the Bucks trade for him?
Kate Cunningham from the Detroit Pistons.
Giannis to
Correct.
Detroit?
Yeah, he has pretty eyes, too.
Maybe he likes the Great Lakes.
Let's just go with all pretty ice team.
I mean,
Potentially.
also, realistically, are the Bucks humoring offers from anyone in the East? Are they just like we'll take the West until the draft, and then maybe after the draft we can consider Eastern Conference
I think
picks?
it's mainly based on the idea there's no teams in the East that could give up anything. Because again, the Nets.
Oh, so you think it's purely about availability? So like if Houston's situation was somewhere in the East, you'd think they'd consider that conversation?
I think they'd still be open to it because everything I'm reading now, like whether it's Bobby Marks or Stephen A. or Wendy, they're not talking about it East or West. They're just talking about the teams. Oklahoma City would be another one. Like, honestly, I would sneaky be rooting for Oklahoma City to lose to Denver because if Oklahoma City falls short of the Western Conference Finals, you might get motivated. They might be motivated to say, you know what? We want to win with Shea. And we're willing to part with Chet and another young player and a draft pick.
Could you imagine?
No, that would
It'd be insane.
Gross.
And then they could say we can go ahead and win with Shea and Giannis. Because back to San Antonio, don't forget they also have De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
So Wemby, Giannis, and De'Aaron Fox, like that team is immediately in contention.
Yeah.
Does Wemby's health come into question at all? I mean, I know we had Dr. Nessa Rodriguez from Carbon Wealth Health just a couple weeks ago talk about like the whole blood clot and everything, and he's so young.
Deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah, so like,
but it was a little different with Dame and Wemby's from what the reporting we got about Dame is that they caught his like preemptively and they actually were able to like stop some of it. It sounded like, whereas I don't know if that's the case with Wemby's situation.
Well, that's
yeah,
what
so
Molly's
like,
saying,
doesn't that make you even? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that his whole career. I'm not saying his career could be over, but it could potentially be a career-ending thing. Like, does that come into Giannis's brain at all? Does that come into the Bucks' brain at all? Is they're kind of thinking through what are Giannis's next steps? Like,
we're not getting Wemby, so I don't think the Bucks are concerned with it.
But I'm saying if they want to set Giannis up in a good situation, so they're not the quote-unquote bad guys, like, and Giannis has to be thinking about that too.
It sounds like with Wemby, so I was looking at this. The clot in Wemby's shoulder was discovered after he complained of weakness in his arm. So that maybe indicates there was some sort of injury. And so those are a little different. But then it's not the fact that they have the issue. It's the fact he's not had like, reoccurring issues with this. It's been he is on, and Nestor talked about this, he's on blood thinners. Mm-hmm. You can't be out there on blood thinners. The belief is that the blood clot, it might even be cleared now, but now they just want to make sure it's all the way. They also were extremely cautious on it. But once the blood clot is gone, then they can watch for it while he plays, and he's had no history prior with it. So then you're saying once the blood clot is gone, you're saying he's a young man. This was probably from an injury that the blood clot formed from, and then he took blood thinners and it's gone, and the danger was him playing with blood thinners, not the actual issue.
Fair. But I mean, I guess I look at it too, and I'm like, he's 20 years old, right? Mm-hmm. That's very young. So I don't know.
I mean, he only has to get 5 years out of him. Right? That's Giannis's window.
Just 5 years.